Welcome to Dory Cote on Shamanism, a weekly podcast that explores one theme in shamanism throughout each month. Get comfortable, have a seat, and let's get started.
Good day. I am delighted to be offering this series about power animals. And this next recording will be the first, and there will be 3 others following for the month of June.
Dory, what is a power animal?
A power animal, from a shamanic perspective, is the spirit of an animal that actually once lived here on the earth in physical reality and has passed on or died, and whose spirit chooses to come back here to the earth plane to be a guardian or spirit helper for a particular person. So to back up just a little bit, it would be important to say that from a shamanic perspective, all beings have a spirit. And there is equality amongst spirits. So a human spirit is not higher in any kind of hierarchical form than the spirit of an animal. And animal spirits, as power animals, bring power to the person with whom they are working.
Do I need a power animal, or do I already have one?
You may already have a guardian animal spirit with you. And whether that guardian animal spirit is a power animal or not is questionable. It really would have to be explored more deeply whether this totem or spirit who is with you is giving you power of some kind.
What is the difference between a power animal and what some people call totems or totem animals?
The difference is that a power animal, from a shamanic perspective, again, as I said previously, is the spirit of an animal who is around you specifically to bring you power. Power in the form of spirit energy and the capacity to rise above some obstacle or problem. Is also a protector and potentially a spirit who guides you in some unique ways. A totem animal is typically the spirit of an animal who is around you quite a bit. For instance, some people may identify strongly with the spirit of wolf. They don't know why, they just are called to connect with wolf. They love wolves. They want to watch TV shows about wolves. They have photos of wolves in their space. And so in all likelihood, that wolf, the spirit of wolf, is a totem animal for them, one from which they draw inspiration or entertainment or a sense of purpose, but is not necessarily the spirit of an animal that brings them power. Totem animals also are very typically associated with groups or tribes or communities, and as such are guardians of the spirit of that space or that group. For instance, a great example is sports teams. All sports teams typically have a mascot. And most of the time, those mascots are some kind of animal. I see that as an animal that is a totem for that team, or a mascot, but truly a totem.
How can people know who their power animals are?
In most cases, the way to get clarity about who your power animal truly is in this lifetime would be to connect with a shamanic practitioner who can journey on your behalf to identify who that spirit animal is. And if you already know how to do a shamanic journey, then you, of course, can do that for yourself and likely already have identified who are your power animals.
Here's a question from a listener. I've heard people talk about Power Animal Retrievals. What is that process, and how do I get one?
Okay, so here's a situation again where one would benefit highly by visiting a shamanic practitioner or working with one long distance by telephone or Skype, because shamanic practitioners are trained to do what is called a power animal retrieval. What that is essentially is that the practitioner is journeying, again outside of space and time, and asking to find the spirit of an animal, which could also be, by the way, an insect, a bird, a fish, or sometimes even mythological creatures such as a unicorn. And what the practitioner is doing is retrieving the spirit of a guardian animal who has been with this person at some time in their life prior to now, and is returning to them to bring them power, sometimes for a specific purpose. For instance, if I were working with a client who was going through a very difficult divorce or was going through the grief from the loss of a loved one, or had some other huge challenge like a move that they were having to undertake with their office or their home, I would perhaps pursue doing a power animal retrieval with that person for the purpose of bringing back some animal, whoever that was. Maybe it was the spirit of bear, or maybe it was the spirit of dragonfly, or some other animal spirit that was with them, perhaps in their childhood, or perhaps even a year ago or 2 years ago, and has left for some reason. Either it was needed someplace else, or the person wasn't paying enough attention to this spirit, and so it left. And now it's coming back specifically to bring power for this person in some way, and that can be for a variety of reasons. You get one by visiting a shamanic practitioner or working with one long distance by telephone or Skype or FaceTime, and asking that shamanic practitioner to do a power animal retrieval for you.
A follow-up question. How do I find out what kind of power my power animal has?
That's a great question. Many people are drawn to books and the internet to look up, oh, well, if I have a dragonfly for a power animal, what does that mean? Or if I have a wolf or a tiger as a power animal, what does that mean? The books are helpful, but it is important for us to remember that what has been written by others is, of course, in many instances, despite research, somewhat opinionated. It is the opinion of that person who has done the research. There are varied understandings of the archetypes of different kinds of animals, insects, birds, fish, and it's very tribally oriented. For instance, if you were to look at, what do the Hopi people believe about the power of crow, and then also look at what do the Passamaquoddy people from Maine believe about the power of crow, they may be very different in their approach. What we recommend as shamanic practitioners is that each individual search inside themselves for what is the power that this spirit animal brings to me? Does it give me greater insight? Does it help me to feel more grounded? Do I feel that I have the capacity to fly beyond my previously believed limitations? What is it for me? And refer to the books if you feel called to do that. But remember, those are archetypes, and they are not necessarily, in all ways, the power that this spirit animal is bringing to you.
This question comes from email. Dory, can I have more than one power animal?
Absolutely. It is not unusual for people to have more than one, sometimes 3 or 4, perhaps even more. And that is a very good thing. It means that you are drawing power from a variety of different spirits whose power may be different from each other. For instance, you might have the power of the ant as one of your power animals, and that one brings you, for instance, sure-footedness, or the capacity to move quickly and to be a really strong worker. You might also have the power of the cardinal, beautiful red bird, and that power animal brings you the power of the ability to be seen, to be very visible in the world, no matter what is around you, whether it's snow or green leaves from trees. So you see, yes, many people have multiple power animals.
Is it possible to have more than one power animal of the same genus? For example, more than one bird power animal?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, that's not at all uncommon. Many times people have a variety of bird power animals, or a variety of 4-legged power animals, or a variety of fish or insects. And they also can be an absolute cornucopia that comes from each of those different genuses.
How can people relate to a presence in their life that they cannot see and are not really sure is even there?
Amazingly, when people make the commitment to agree that there is the spirit of an animal around them, and they honor that spirit, even if they don't completely believe in it, but they find a way to honor the presence of that spirit animal by having a photo of, for instance, the wolf on their desk, or having a screensaver on their computer that has images of that animal, or wearing, in the case of women, wearing earrings that are, little cardinal birds. What they do in that instance is they draw the power of that spirit toward them. And the spirit of that animal responds to them. So, for instance, let's say that wolf is your power animal, and you live in New York City. You're not likely going to see a wolf on the street. However, you may turn your TV on to watch some National Geographic program on a random evening, and they just happen to be doing a show about wolves. There's no coincidence there. Or you open a magazine, and there is this amazing display of images of wolves attached to an advertisement in the magazine. Or you begin to see images of the wolf painted on the side of delivery trucks that are roaming around in Manhattan. Any possibility exists. I remember, for instance, many years ago doing a power animal retrieval for somebody who lived in a small city here in New England, and the power animal that I brought back for her was a mammoth, a woolly mammoth. And of course that's an extinct animal, and the likelihood of seeing a woolly mammoth anywhere is pretty remote. And a couple of weeks later, I forget exactly how long it was, but not long later, she called me very excited one day because she had taken a business trip to, as it turns out, Manhattan, and she was waiting for an elevator in a lobby of a huge, a multi-storied building. And she turned around while she was waiting for the elevator to come, and there in the lobby of this hotel was a huge marble statue of a woolly mammoth. That is not an accident. That is the spirit of that animal showing her, I am really here. And that is the way it works. Whether the person is a believer or a doubter, if they just take that one step and allow themselves to commit to honoring the animal by having images of it around and doing something like a simple thing like, having a screensaver or something like that with the images of the animal, the spirit of that animal will respond to them, and they will be shown in a very serendipitous kind of way how that animal is showing up for them.
That completes the questions. Do you have anything you would like to add?
I would like to say that power animals, this presence of power animals in our lives is, without a doubt, one of the single most important aspects of work in the shamanic realm. And a simple power animal retrieval makes dramatic and permanent changes in a person's life. And so I urge anybody who's listening to this podcast to pursue having a power animal retrieval done by a trusted shamanic practitioner if you haven't already done so, because it will make a difference in your life.
Thank you for listening to Dory Cote on Shamanism. We'd love to hear your thoughts, stories, reactions, and questions. Come on over to dorycote.com and join the conversation. And tune in next week for more on this subject, or next month for a new subject. You can subscribe to this podcast in iTunes or sign up on dorycote.com to receive notices when the podcasts are posted. That's Dory, D-O-R-Y, and Cote, C-O-T-E.com. Drumming and rattling by Dory Cote and Terry Morgan. Technical assistance and audio production by JillHackett.com. And this is Susan Savelle, wishing you many blessings in your life. We hope to have you join us next time.